A lot of Spring Boot developers write code in wrong layers, and as a result of this, their code base becomes messy, becomes spaghetti code. Usually, they hate it after a couple of years writing some spaghetti code. So today, I'm gonna be showing you what is a bad code, and then I'm gonna be showing you what are the separation of concerns that's gonna be happening in order to separate our logic into multiple layers, and you will figure out what belongs to which layer. Let's get started. Here I have this project. I have two controllers. One is bad, one is good. I'm gonna start with the bad one. Here in the wallet controller 2, we have our entity manager, which is gonna be responsible for persisting our data in our database. And we have a post mapping for this endpoint. This post mapping is responsible for creating a wallet. It takes some kind of create wallet request and it logs some stuff, and then it's gonna be normalizing this currency. The normalizing is happening here in the controller level, and then we're gonna be checking if it exists or not. Using a SQL statement, we're gonna be finding if this customer ID and currency exist, and we're gonna select it. If this result set is not empty, that means it exists. And if it exists, then we're gonna saying, hey, this wallet is rejected because it already exists. If it doesn't exist, we should be creating this wallet, and then we're gonna be building our model, and we're gonna be persisted in our database, and then we're gonna be just returning okay. In case of an exception happens, then we're gonna be log an error and throwing an exception. If you think this code is good enough, then you hadn't really seen a good code. Because this code is bad, this code is ugly, this code has no separation at all. So this is a really bad example when it comes to how you write code. Why? Because you're doing too much here. You're accessing a persistent context. You're accessing some sort of data source in the controller, which isn't really good. You're doing a lot of business logic here, which isn't really optimal. You're catching exception in the controller level. You shouldn't really catch in the controller. It's not its area to catch it here. So you're doing a lot of wrong stuff in the level of control. So just to be clear, how can we improve this? How can we be better? So in order to solve this kind of problem, we need to start by learning about the layers that we have in most of the backend systems. Usually they are consisting of three. First layer is the controller. That's basically the endpoint that we have. We have some kind of endpoint, and it's kind of an exposure to the client, to the people who wants to access our resource. That's the entry point for those clients. This is a controller level. We have also service layer. This service layer is responsible for handling the business logic. It's responsibility for taking the request from the client. Hey, what do you want to do? What kind of business logic that you want to implement, to validate? Whatever kind of business logic happen in the service layer. Then we have the repository layer. This repository layer is responsible for accessing our data source. It's gonna be responsible for interacting with the data source. Whatever that source that you have, the repository is a place where it should communicate with this data source. So I'm gonna be now switching to the good design, the good way of thinking. Jumping to the correct controller, we have the same create wallet, but had you seen, it's only two lines instead of this big jumbo mumbo, like I don't know, 40 lines, 50 lines, so many lines. In this controller, what we do is pretty simple. Hey, we're gonna be creating a service. This service is responsible for our wallet business logic, and in the post mapping entry point that we have, endpoint, it's gonna be consisting of two lines. Hey, we want to create a wallet based on the request that you want, and we're gonna be returning a response. And I'm not sure if you had noticed, but we're returning a DTO. We're not returning a wallet account. We're not returning an entity. We're returning a DTO. This DTO is a data transfer object that's gonna be also included in the service layer that's gonna be responsible for handling the business. Because in most cases, you might not want to return the whole model that was inserted in the database. You want to return some stuff, not all the fields. And the most famous example for this scenario is when you're inserting a username, or basically when you're inserting a user, you inserted a username and password, and you don't really want to return the password to client side. This is not something you would want. So what happens when you're saving the object, you're saving the username and hashed password, but you're never returning some kind of a password here. So you're mapping this saved entity to be a DTO, a data transfer object, without the password. So you're saving username password, but you're returning username only. And this is a difference when you're talking about data transfer object and entity. So this is was the controller that we have. That's basically it. Have you seen? If it literally consists of 4 lines, that's basically our controller. So now we're gonna be entering our service to see what kind of business logic that we're gonna be doing. In the wallet service, we have a create wallet method. This handles our business logic. This is what we want to implement. We're going to be starting by the same logical operation. But do you see this normalized currency? This is now a static function that was introduced in the utility package. We now have a util package that's going to be responsible for normalizing currency. Why? Because this logic is not necessarily related to the service only. And this is why the separation here, we are going to be using it in the service logic, but it's a utility function. It doesn't really need to live in our business logic. We can use it, but we don't really create it in the business logic. And we're going to be also using the repository. The repository we have mentioned, it's going to be accessing the data source. We don't really need to write our SQL directly in the business logic. We're going to be using the repository to do the data source stuff, which is basically the database queries and how it retrieves the data from our data sources. So here we'll just check if this user exists or not. If it doesn't exist, great. If it exists, then we're going to be throwing some kind of a problem error here. So if it doesn't exist, we're going to be just keep working with our business logic, build our entity here and save it. And after you save it through our repository, then we want to map it through a mapper. We're going to be converting this wallet object to a wallet response DTO, wallet response data transfer object, to be returned to the controller, which is takes it here, and basically we're going to be returning the response here. That's a logic that we do in the business layer. I want just to jump into the repository to make you view the code, but code is pretty straightforward. In the repository, we don't do much. We're just accessing through JPA. We're telling JPA, you're going to be making this kind of abstraction to us. You're going to be checking if this wallet exists by customer ID and currency. And based on this simple interface, it's going to be returning whether it exists or not. And then we're going to be taking it and do whatever we need in our business logic. You can think about it from controller, service, repository perspective and comparing which code should go to which layer. That's basically how you can think of when you're talking about different layers that you have when it comes to Spring Boot project. Hopefully you enjoyed the content so far. If you like this content, tell me in the comment section. If you have some kind of idea that you would like me to make a video about, feel free to tell me about it, and see you next time. Bye.